You know, whenever somebody asks me what my favorite sculpture is, I always say it's the one I'm working on, because by God, you certainly hope that the one you're working on is the best one that you've done, that's got all the accumulated experience of everything else you've done. And certainly the public commission that I'm working on right now is certainly the biggest, it's the most complex. So I've got some rulers welded on the side over here that kind of tell me. I just have always been wired up to be an artist, not necessarily a sculptor. That came actually relatively late. I mean, early on in my art career, I was a printmaker, I did paintings and drawings, and sculpture didn't really enter the picture until in my 30s. I went to a junior college for about 3 semesters or something. I learned how to do silkscreen prints there, and that was my first passion. What's in here? Well, that's one of the very first silkscreen prints I ever did. Immediately dropped out of that and went to Kansas City, set up a studio out there, and did silkscreen prints for about 7 years, which the kind of pieces that interested me, they're very technically demanding. And I spent about 7 years getting myself up to where I could meet that technical demand. And yet by the time I got to the end of that process, I realized that where I wanted to go didn't really fit that medium anymore, and so I wound up going back to school. If I had been in a place where I was happy with what I was making and was willing to really kind of knuckle down and do that, I'm sure I could have made a living doing that. But the problem is that I was still developing as an artist, and I was still wanting to explore. I went to the University of Maryland there, and it was the last couple of semesters that I took a couple of welding classes. After I graduated, I moved down here to North Carolina, still doing pastel drawings, silkscreen prints, and mixing in, starting to go to the scrap yards, collect some metal. In those days, I didn't really know how to fashion my own shapes from scratch, so I'd go and I'd find all the shapes that looked interesting to me at the scrap yard, throw them in the trailer and bring them back and start collaging them together. At least I knew how to weld them together when I got back here. After about 10 years, I was still trying to scramble a living together any way that I could. I started to realize that the drawings and the prints, they kept just piling up around the house. And when I made a sculpture, oftentimes it went and got a job. I really didn't like having to run silkscreen shops and printed T-shirts and run picture framing shops. All these skills that I kind of had learned as sidelines to what my main interest was, really wound up being the things that I wound up having to do full time to actually make a living, because the art wasn't doing it at that point. Oh, come on, grip it. If you're going to make really good art, you want to come home and you want to have energy and you want to bring your A game to it. And if you're just trying to squeeze that in around another full-time job, plus all the other commitments you have in life. And you know, if you're going to be serious about making art, it's going to take some time to develop your language. It's going to take time to find your voice. For me, I guess I was just one of those guys that was going to come into my own a little later. I wasn't going to be Mr. Picasso, who started making masterpieces at 18. Part of what ultimately makes you a success is just not having any plan B. All right, what have I done with my ear protectors? If you follow me around enough, you'll get plenty of footage of me looking for shit that I put down randomly. And if it goes long enough, you'll get plenty of cursing. Oh, fuck you, Michael. There they are. I see him. Motherfucker. Stupid place for him. I got an emerging artist grant back in 1995. That allowed me to buy my first electric welder. The electric welder really and starting to accumulate some real equipment opened up a lot of possibilities for me. Put in my first couple of public commissions, and I was really starting to kind of get the ball rolling. Clay and I have been a good team. She's an artist as well, so we've really been able to kind of settle in and focus. I'm pretty happy that in my 60s now, I feel like I am doing leaps and bounds my best work. I'm glad I didn't peak early. Go! There we go. All three pieces are going to go into the same development, which is amazing. It's going to be quite a statement piece. People would come around and ask how long it takes to do a piece, and of course, it all depends on the size and the complexity. But I always used to say that if I spent 3 months on a piece, I've written my version of War and Peace. New Year's Eve was my first cuts into the plates of steel to make this bottom part here. So we're at 3 months into it at this point, and there's probably still a couple more months to go. So I'm afraid this sculpture has outlasted War and Peace. World of Imagination and World of Nature are both 20 feet tall. These pieces are so much more complex and have so much more weight to them, literally and visually. Designing those pieces, I kind of pulled out all the stops, because I knew they were going to have to maintain my interest for a long time. And so I'm very proud of how these are turning out and where they're going. So. There's one. Get my little red hammer. Right, I am getting tired of that. Drill, drill, drill. Where's a fucking drill? There's how many drills do I have? And I can't lay my hands on it. What in the world is going on here? All right. As I said last night, resistance is futile. The little saying that goes with it is that only a heart with wings can fly. And you know, when I'm not cursing, my heart's flying pretty good.